I had completely forgotten that this movie was even coming out, so I was surprised when I checked the cinema listings and saw that Black Adam was showing. I would like to say that I was looking forward to seeing it, but I have been almost completely put off of superhero movies by Marvel's endless virtue signalling and lack of interest in bringing accurate representations of their characters to the big screen, or small screens for that matter. But before I get started, please consider subscribing as that would really help me out, and if you like this content, give it a like. Okay, on with the vid. So, after booking my ticket and making the short trip to my local cinema, I sat in my seat in a mostly empty screening, hoping to enjoy a Marvel-free superhero movie. And then, it ended. And I found myself wondering, what the hell did I just watch? Because this movie was just kind of... It isn't that it's a bad movie, it is simply that it just didn't feel consequential. It felt small, localized and soulless. It is like drinking a Coke Zero. Yes, it tastes basically like Coke, but it leaves you feeling very unsatisfied because it doesn't have any of the body of the original. The plot, what there is of it, is just too small scale. It is essentially contained all within the one city, possibly even the one street, since they seem to only have about 30 people in the entire movie, including the extras. A basic synopsis would be a long time ago the King of Kandak, that's the place where the movie is based, wants more power but he needs some special mineral to make a magic crown, so he enslaves his country to dig up enough of the mineral. But some wizards aren't happy and make a boy into a hero using the power of Shazam. The hero then becomes legendary and he battles the king and the king is killed, and so the hero is entombed with the crown by the wizards. Jump forward to modern day, and Kandak has been taken over by some military group called Intergang. And no, I didn't make that name up, it is in fact what they are called. Anyway, this faceless gang wants more power, even though they already control everything, and no one else in the world seems to care, since they just let them get on with it. Intergang want the old king's crown, and to that end they infiltrate some random woman's group who are looking for the crown, so that they can, keep it from Intergang or something. They find the crown but realise that their group has been infiltrated. When on finding the cave where the crown is, the woman gets the crown, and then the traitor, who is in fact the leader of Intergang, who somehow neither the woman nor her group seem to have heard of, tries to take the crown from her. Just when it seems that she will have to give up the crown, she reads the words on some sort of tomb, and Black Adam suddenly appears and beats the snot out of the bad guys. The woman escapes and takes Black Adam home with her, where he walks through walls at random, even though it is established that he knows what doors are for. But it's funny, haha. Amanda Waller then sends the Justice Society, which is like the Justice League but with the word society instead of league, because that makes all the difference, to subdue and capture Black Adam, since they have info saying that he isn't a good guy, even though he seems to only be interested in killing bad guys. The Justice League members are made up of Dr. Fate, played by Pierce Brosnan, a race-swapped Hawkman, played by some guy, some female character named Cyclone, played by some girl, who uses the power of farts with different colours denoting how bad they smell. At least that's how my partner described it anyway. Then we have Atom Smasher, who is DC's Ant-Man, though he doesn't seem to do small, just big and dumb. Black Adam has already shown his power by this point, and it is clear he is not to be messed with, and even considers himself a god, so the Justice Society's Dr. Fate decides that the best way to get him to give himself up is to say, "Kneel or die." A phrase that was clearly going to piss off anyone short of the most snivelling beta male. As you can imagine, Black Adam says, "Fuck you sideways with a fence post," and proceeds to give them the beating their arrogance so richly deserves. Then eventually, after the woman has a talk with him, Black Adam in turn decides that he will give the Justice Society a chance to explain themselves, which they do, by again resorting to threats and in no way attempting to come to any kind of agreement, especially Hawkman, who has a frozen corn cob up his arse, and comes across as a bit of a dick, and in fact manages to remain a bit of a dick for the rest of the movie. At this point, Bad Guy goes to the woman's flat and threatens her son, a person who up until this point I've neglected to mention, and who is of so little importance, regardless of how big his part in the movie is, that I will continue to ignore him. The bad guy wants the crown of whatever it was, and he will stop at nothing to get it, but it has been hidden from him, and so he threatens the woman's son so that she will bring it to him. The woman then brings the crown to the bad guy, who it turns out is a descendant of the original king who had the crown made in the first place. Luckily for the woman, the Justice Society and Black Adam accompany her, and after a little kerfuffle, Black Adam in a rage manages to destroy everything with some kind of mental atomic blast, destroying the bad guy and the crown. Luckily, the Justice Society managed to save the woman, her son, and themselves. Black Adam then recounts that he is not the legendary hero of Kandak. The hero is actually his son, who was chosen by the wizards to be the hero. But after his son won a great many victories and created his legend, the king sent assassins to kill his family. So when he came home, his mother was dead, and Adam, his father, The Rock, was just barely still alive. His son then got him to say Shazam at the same time as himself, and somehow that means that he can transfer his power to his father, Adam, saving his life. Which leads me to wonder that if you sneak up behind Black Adam when he says the magic word and say it at the same time, can you steal his powers? Anyway, before the real hero could take his power back, or whatever his plan was, he was killed by the king's assassins. Black Adam, in a rage, goes and kills the king, but the wizards, seeing his lack of control, decide to entomb him along with the crown to make the world safe. Back in present day, Black Adam, realizing that the world would be better off without him, says Shazam and turns back into the normal him. The Justice Society then take him to some sort of prison, where he is to be kept forever, or until he is for some reason needed again. I wonder how long it will be before he is needed again. So the bad guy ends up in hell, or somewhere very similar, where thanks to dying with the crown, he is resurrected as some sort of demon, which had been his plan all along. He then goes on a rampage. And brings the dead back to life, because who doesn't want an army of deadites?
Got plans for you, girly girl!
The 30 extras then run around a bit screaming, and Dr. Fate, who has seen the future, though apparently not this bit of the future since it seems like it might have been worth mentioning, warns Hawkman that he has seen his death, but not to worry because he has a plan. He will die in his place. Hawkman, being a noble soul, doesn't like this plan, but that is irrelevant because Dr. Fate is awesomely powerful, and so keeps the rest of the Justice League out while he fights the demon bad guy alone, knowing that he will lose. He then sends a thought message to Black Adam, telling him to come and save everyone else's asses. Hawkman, Atom Smasher, and Spinny Fart Woman, Cyclone, then fight the demon bad guy, and it doesn't go well. Luckily at this moment, Black Adam turns up, and the frozen corn cob stuck up Hawkman's bum unfreezes, and in a mostly dickless moment, that sounds wrong, but oh well, he encourages Black Adam to kick the demon bad guy's ass. Which he does! Yay! He then proceeds to tear demon bad guy in half, in a very straight line, which surprised me as I didn't even notice the perforations. Which I think that perhaps the demon community should really get up a petition and start lobbying their local MP or congressman or devil to get rid of, as it just sounds like a major physiological flaw, just waiting to be exploited by those who have good eyesight. The end. At this point, I'm sure you're all as underwhelmed and confused as I was, because for the life of me I can't see a good reason for Dr. Fate to have decided that he needed to die, since apparently it was Fate that Hawkman should die, and yet Fate was perfectly happy to swap Hawkman for Dr. Fate. But Dr. Fate knew that Black Adam had to be the one to defeat the demon bad guy, so why did he not call Black Adam back sooner? Or better yet, why didn't he know from the start that Black Adam was needed if he could see the future? I don't know, because so little time is spent on backstories and motivations that, other than Black Adam himself, we know nothing about any of these guys. But enough of the story, let's talk about the actors. Dwayne Johnson was great as Black Adam, nothing really to complain about, he basically just needed to look tough and be muscly, both of which he managed quite easily. It really pisses me off when characters are race swapped, but Aldous Hodge was actually pretty good as Hawkman. Yes, he was an arrogant dick, but he was at least given a chance to have some small amount of character development. And by the end of the movie, his dickishness was a bit more understandable. But he does make way for a race swapped Hawk Girl, a character that I actually really like and one I would much rather have seen on screen, and who I will be really pissed off when they race swap and mess with. When I aired this opinion to my partner, she was very suspicious about my motivations. Though I can't imagine why. The only other character worthy of interest is Dr. Fate, played excellently by Pierce Brosnan. Dr. Fate is the second biggest takeaway from this movie, and also the biggest loss because he was a great character. He had depth, he had humour, and most of all, he was just pretty damned awesome. Imagine Doctor Strange, but still interesting and edgy and powerful, instead of the pathetic waste of space he became when he was marginalised in his own movie. In fact, I thought Pierce did such a good job that I felt the need to go and watch some of his other movies. but then I remembered that he had also made these. And finally, the very best thing about this fairly run-of-the-mill movie comes after the credits, when Superman in the form of Henry Cavill turns up to have a chat with Black Adam. Yes, Henry Cavill will finally be returning as Superman, and it is about bloody time. I just hope that this doesn't mean he's lost his chance to be James Bond, because he is the only actor around right now that is perfect for the role. Another thing I noticed while perusing the cast is that not a single actor or actress was Egyptian, which I found rather strange since Black Adam came from Egypt, and Hollywood is obsessed with representation. I wouldn't normally be bothered, but my partner is Egyptian, and we sometimes watch Egyptian movies, so I know there are plenty of Egyptian actors around that could have played some of these roles. But it seems like Warner Brothers decided that Egyptian actors representing Egyptian people was a step too far towards diversity, which I can't help but applaud. After all this nonsense about people having to be the exact thing they are playing these days, God forbid a straight woman play a gay person, or someone who isn't black voice a black character in a cartoon. Though I do think they missed the trick by not having the woman's brother played by someone like Ahmed Helmi, who would have been a fun bit of representation for Egypt. So there you have it. Black Adam is now part of the DC cinematic universe, and we can only hope that they manage to gatekeep the Pink Hair Brigade out long enough to make some decent movies. Because while this movie isn't great, it does show some promise, and bringing back Henry Cavill is another step in the right direction. This has been Movie Suck, wishing that we had all done a bit more gatekeeping in the past. Signing out. Leave a like, share and subscribe, and I will catch you guys on the flip side.